good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you again for tuning in to hear about AI and project management. Continuing the interviews with global project experts, and today I'm joined by Henk from the Netherlands. Henk, would you like to introduce yourself?
Certainly. My name is Henk-Jan, fully in Dutch. That's the way I'm being called. The founder of the PMO company some 20 years ago. We are now 20 years in business. What we do is we help organizations to improve the project management practice by looking at governance, methodology, and project management tooling to make it automated and as efficient as possible. In addition, of course, we focus at training, adoption of new ways of working, and all that together is what we've been doing for the last 20 years. In addition, we are also providing project management hands-on support. So we've got some people working at clients as project managers and project officers.
Fantastic. I must ask you straight away, you've been in business for 20 years now, and you mentioned the inevitable automation in your little description, but I was just wondering, in terms of major changes over those 20 years, is there something that's a sort of standout moment? And maybe we're just about to start that. I don't know. What's your thoughts, Hank?
Well, actually, it's cool that you ask that because it has been an interesting journey. If you look at tooling over those 20 years, one of the reasons I started was the tooling. At that time, we were looking at a tool called eProject. eProject was a very simple project management tool that allowed the project manager to create a project plan and add a responsible person to a task, and the person allocated will get a notification that he's been allocated a task. And as soon as the task is due, you get a reminder, hey, your task is due. I love that concept. So I adopted it. And it was from the beginning that the PMO company is one of the few companies that is really focusing at project management tooling. So what we do is trying to do the methodology, but also put it from a phasing point of view directly into a project tool. It brings so much more efficiency to the project execution. One of the things we also use is the project tooling driven project management meeting. In the project management meeting, driven by tooling, the only thing you have to ask the tool is, what are the tasks that are still open today that were due today? So past due dates as well. And those are the only ones that we discuss in the meeting. We don't talk about the thing that's closed. We only talk about the things that should have been closed. And that makes it very efficient. It's a very, maybe strict and blue from a color point of view, way of managing it from a logic point of view, but it works fairly well. And that's what happened to the tools. And if you look at the tool landscape, eProject evolved, became more mature, became very sophisticated in reporting the differences per project meeting. Then it was purchased, or it was renamed to Deptive. Deptive was acquired by ChangePoint, which was a larger competition looking more at the work management, more at the project professional services area as a tool, automation. And then not too long ago, ChangePoint was acquired again by PlanView. So you see a large consolidation of those tools, which gives more power to the larger organization or larger tool providers, bringing more and more technology into the tool from different angles. Another example, we were a reseller of Clarison. Clarison is an Israeli tool. They have project capacity planning, project portfolio management tooling, planning in there. And Clarison also has been bought by PlanView. So all these technologies came together in one solution, PlanView. So the next step would be to bring also AI to the table And it's very nice to see all this development in the tools, how much more sophisticated they became.
It's really interesting, and the angle that you're coming from a business, seeing all of those toolings, just a couple of the examples there that you've seen evolve as it were, and of course, we're here to talk about AI and touching on that. So even what you were describing there with the flags and the early automation, I was thinking, oh, that's not too far away from what we're talking about, or at least some people are talking about in terms of the AI world. Just tell me a little bit more about exposure to sort of AI and AI tooling and where you think that that's at the moment.
Well, um, that's interesting, of course. Like 4 years ago, when AI, or actually, think it's 2.5, 3 years ago when it really started, kicked off. Um, there was the discussion whether AI would take over the role of the project manager. And everybody said, no, project management is a people skill. It's about people talking to people. You need to motivate people, inspire people, and make people do things that a computer, by just giving a line of text, you have to do this, will never do. But it's not that simple. 3, 4 years ago, we started an initiative called AI for PMO, trying to see what kind of project support we could already bring towards AI, or at least have AI execute. We started an initiative together with IBM, which is an interesting secret, because IBM is one of the companies in the world that has fairly sophisticated AI capabilities. It's called Watson. You remember Watson, the supercomputer. So they have a Watson X something, Watson X, I think it's called, which is a AI-driven solution. So they build AI solutions for their customers. And we were working together on a use case for a project support officer as an AI agent. That project did not really go well. We couldn't finalize the tool by itself, for one reason, because you saw that there was in the project tooling that we were reselling, like PlanView, but also we resell other tools. The AI already came up in the tool itself. So the added value of us having a AI tool on the site, it was very difficult to make that work well. So we stepped away, we paused that project for a little while, and we only started it up maybe a few months ago again, where we were working with a team of very talented young professionals in AI that created a solution called Soleria. I'm now making a mistake. Yeah, so let me get back to the name. And they finished where we stopped, to create a solution where all the project data is collected in an AI solution, like the ones that you also have. But this tool is more looking at the communication of the project manager with all the data underlying. It's looking at the context. So if you have all your chats in a Teams meeting, it will check the Teams meeting. What did you say about the project? All the meeting minutes that are being created are collected on a SharePoint, let's say, and it's looking through the meeting minutes to find patterns that are related to problems that can occur in your project. For instance, if in the project meetings it is mentioned for 2 times that a particular deliverable is not getting any attention, and the people responsible are not responding, then it will see what the impact is for that deliverable, and let it let it make it more visible to the steering committee. This is an issue. Or if there is a difference between a schedule and a spreadsheet, as in there is a deliverable for a certain date and the spreadsheet mentions a different date, then it will note those as quality issues. So
Yes.
all these inconsistencies and these patterns that are in the text, so in the, let's say, not structured data, it will bring forward. So in essence, we now have our AI of a PMO for AI, a project support officer that is helping the project manager to identify potential problems in the project. It's here. The
It's
future is
it
here.
it sounds fantastic, and what you're describing there, I'm sure there's lots of different labels, but I can imagine, as an assistant, whether that's an assistant to the PM or an assistant to the PMO, but you know, the ability to analyze all of that large volumes of data and almost be independent of us, I'm sure there must be things that are surfaced that others wouldn't necessarily see firsthand. How's it performing? How's it getting on, Hank?
Well, it's in an early phase, so we have the basic capabilities are live and tested. We are still working on some beta new developments. The next step would be to get a few larger clients. We are now working with few projects only in the testing environment. So now the
Mm.
challenge is to get a few larger clients to test this on. So it's only in its early stages, but it seems to be working.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And like, most technology, when you start, you start with pilots and proof of concept. So it certainly sounds like it's the right direction to travel. If I may, I'm just quite interested, with the Watson example that didn't quite go forward. I'm quite intrigued in terms of, not the detail, but do you have a feel for why it didn't go forward? Was it technology? Was it human? What sort of constraint was there?
It was actually a combination of technology and us not finding the business case anymore. We had
Mm,
a fairly clear vision of what could be done,
mm,
like automatically creating project plans and updating those project plans. But like I said, in some of the tools, they already started to develop that themselves. So the added
mm,
value was not too big, not
mm,
enough for us
mm.
to make the difference. We were not 100% sure that if we would put a lot of effort and time and money in this project,
Yes,
whether we could still be competing with the larger tooling providers. So the solution we've got now is the business case a little bit different because it's an aggregation of project
yes,
tools. So we interface to Jira, to Google Sheet, to Teams, to SharePoint, and bring all the data together. And that's a little bit of different views, especially because we're not looking at the project plans only and the project
yeah,
risk and the historical data of project plans, which your solution is also extremely suited
yeah,
for. We're now looking at more at the context and overarching of all the tools in an organization, and that makes a difference. So the use cases has become better. The other reason why it didn't go forward is the expectation from IBM that we were developing our own UI. And the UI to us, we didn't have a vision yet how that would look like. We still saw it more like a chat box
yes, yeah,
asking questions, and then the tool would generate tables with risks and logs and what have you.
yeah,
So the AI question, oh, sorry, the UI question,
yeah,
we did not think through well enough,
yeah.
and that's different now as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think, both of us are of a certain age, Henk, where we've been around projects for a little while, and projects aren't easy. And when it comes to deploying technology, I know you hardly touched on some of your experience as well, but I know you're familiar with technology deployments. And I'm just thinking whether in this world of AI that actually projects are getting even harder. On the one hand, AI is supposed to be, some savior for us. On the other hand, I'm just wondering whether it's just making things, more complicated, harder to, well, quicker to create something something, but not necessarily that enterprise production level something, as it were. What's your view? Is it a good thing or a bad thing that
Well,
we're entering in?
that's a very interesting question indeed, because at the stage where we are right now, and that's only at the beginning of AI, let's be honest. I now see that the project management role, everybody knows that it's changing, but I think it's changing faster and more significant than you can think. Another example of the things we are doing, I was struggling in my company with doing consistent marketing. And obviously every company has to do marketing, and that's a basic requirement. What I did not have is a project manager that is managing my project or my marketing deliverables. And actually might be more than a process, more kind of a process, because every month we want to do a knowledge session, sharing knowledge with our customers and our team. Every month we want to do a LinkedIn post, like most companies want to do this. But the consistency was not there. So what we did is we created a virtual assistant. Let's call her a project manager. I call it her, which is already strange. And this project manager, the virtual project manager, she's called Vera. She helped me by with creating the work packages. Obviously, you can ask just AI, help me with creating a work package, the steps that I need to go through every month to do my marketing. Everyone can do that. Ask Claude or Perplexity or what. And then after creating that, we made the API to Open Project. Now, Open Project has an API, so you can just have the AI go into an API, and the AI goes through the API into the Open Project. So the plan that we created, I asked Vera to create it in Open Project. So now I have a Gantt planning with all the tasks in a month that we need to do every month again and again for our knowledge sessions, for our blogs, and for our LinkedIn. But now the good thing is I also created a mailbox for Vera, my virtual project manager. And so now, as soon as one of the due dates comes up, Vera is reporting that through the email to the people that are responsible for the task. Hey, this is due today. So all the planning work and the reminding work is done by a virtual project manager. This is where we are right now. This is what we do in our company at the moment. So if you extend that view and you think in larger organizations, you've got this one engine that is automatically informing you about the task you have to do today. That's a big part of the role of a normal project manager.
Yeah.
So the only thing that the real life, humans project managers have to do is to convince people that they have to do it, to help them to execute the task, to identify blocking issues. And all these blocking issues and conversations that you have with your team members are registered again, like we are recording this session,
Yes.
fed into the AI, and all the results of the outcome of these conversations will be added to the project plan or to the risk log or to the issue log automatically. So
it's
I
really
think
interesting.
it's a really great time to be in. But as a project manager, there is some threat to what's happening, obviously.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Hank, because ever since Gartner published that report, 70% of PM's effort by 2030. 2030 is getting quite close now, by the way. So in a sort of Elon Musk kind of way, I think they were probably right, but maybe they got their time horizons wrong. What you're describing, and back to what we said here, roughly over the last 3 or 4 years, this technology is adopting, and you're already seeing, the change, or certainly the displacement, or actually almost the creation of that virtual project manager that I'm sure is costing you a lot less than a human equivalent to do some of that. Are you an advocate? Do you see the sort of rise of AI agents around projects, and once, is there a time horizon that you think's associated before actually it really does start impacting the role of the project manager at much greater depth than we're currently considering?
I think we've got to have this conversation in a year from now because, I mean, also from us, it's in the early stages. I mean, you guys are much more ahead of the curve. You have already much more experience. You have done a lot of implementations on a larger scale. You work with organizations that bring in a lot of data and historical data that gives your solution the ability to really make great project plans and risk logs and what have you. What we are doing is just based on a new technology, just starting.
Yeah.
So I'm not 100% sure. And what I'm describing now is more the role of a project manager than the role of a project tool that is showing you what kind of a planning you've got. This is more interactive and more directive than a report would be or a schedule would be. So from that point of view, we are only at the beginning, and I'd love to give you an update in
Yeah,
a
of
year or
course.
so what it
I mean,
really
what you're
meant.
describing there, at least is the role of a project coordinator, I would suggest,
Correct.
and no doubt some of those administrative tasks could be extended as well, and some of them may you find that are more complex. But the point is that that this journey is underway, and the enveloping of the profession is underway, and one of the things, one of my little bugbears, Henk, is that we seem to be taking the easy road rhetoric that technology, you won't be replaced by AI, you'll be replaced by somebody with AI skills. I'm sorry, I don't accept that at all.
No,
I was just
it
seeing
is
what your
worse than
thoughts are.
that.
Yeah,
True. Yeah, it's different. It's more impactful than people realize now. It doesn't mean, you know what everybody says, yeah, your job will change. And it's true. I think the more um, tedious jobs like administration, for sure, is going to be less. And that's good because a project manager doesn't want to do updates. Nobody wants to do text entries and what have you. So that means that the project management role will be more interesting. Stakeholder management will be more important. Understanding the politics in an organization, understanding the culture, understanding the way of working so that you can intervene in a way that people are not being pushed away, but are being brought together as a team to make things work. So it's more the people side that's becoming more important for the project managers. So the real technical project managers focus at scheduling, I think they will be replaced. But
Mm-hmm.
the people that oversee what's going on and that have people skills will thrive. That's my opinion. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it is
I think,
changing.
yeah, I think it was definitely it's changing. I think even those people skills are I don't know what you'd call it, are being eroded. So I'm sure you like me, we use AI tools to, whether it's draft reports or draft emails or your marketing campaigns. So we're already encroaching on some of that so-called creativity, and yeah, at the moment I don't think we're taking the human out of the loop completely on that creativity. But again, over time, I think the bar of where that human in the loop continues to be is likely to be raised. It's an interesting stance. I mean, in a way, it's a good time for us to be here. Yeah, we're starting where it's going to be for our children and our children's children is much more sort of scary in my mind. Hopefully, optimistically scary.
Very difficult to imagine, indeed. True.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what I think is a risk at this moment. Because it's being made so easy to create an AI agent based on the American technology at the moment, and also to query and to provide project data into Claude or what have you. And Claude is probably, from a ethics point of view, the good choice. If you do OpenAI, then you don't know, that this is the ethics there are definitely, to my opinion, not so great. I would not recommend to put it into OpenAI, the ChatGPT. But if you put all the data there, even though you say we don't train on the data, it does go to the US. You don't know where it goes. And if you are in an organization and you want to excel and you want to impress your management, and you think, you know what, I've seen all these great things going on with the AI, with the jet boxes and whatever, with the LLMs, and you put all the data of your company into one of these AIs, you bring forward a beautiful risk log, and you come back to your manager and says, wow, look at this. This is cool. But at the same time, you introduce an incredible, we call it, data risk. Because you're sharing your secret company data with the big tech. And I think because it's so easy to do, a lot of project managers will be tempted to use standard technology. So what you and I do, we will bring our firewalls in, and we'll just keep it local, the AI. But the normal, let's say, project managers that do not get the tools that we provide, that you provide, they will use just public AIs. And I think that's could be a big danger.
It's definitely a whole risk there, and you touched on a couple of things with the technology providers and the bias that is being built into the technology as well. I think the other thing is, if we go back to human nature, Henk, I think generally speaking, people do look to take the easy route. So it's all well and good saying, we need to validate the responses, or, we need to check the production, and, no doubt the shift is now moving away from creation into validation, but it's very hard to validate. And we know that some of the big consultancy companies have been identified some reports that have been issued to major government parties, which have in countries, which have been proved to be completely hallucinated, in fact, as it were. But on the other hand, I'm sure, at the time, the consultant was probably working 20 hours a day, just wanted to get their report out or whatever. So I totally agree that there is inherent risk, and it's something that we need to throughout this deployment process, as it were. For me, obviously, I'm an advocate of AI in project management, and it sounds like you are, Henk, as well. If we do roll forward 10 years, as it were, do you see a positive outlook, or a more negative? And by positive, I'll just try and define that slightly. I mean more projects successfully delivered on time, on budget, to scope, and even better outcomes that drive benefits as well. Do you see an improvement coming through all of this adoption?
That is, why I have to think about that, really think about that. If you look at all the reports of why projects are failing, it's not about scheduling. It's not about a good project plan. It's not about a good risk log. It's more about user adoption of new ways of working. So whatever the project is changing, the changes need to be adopted by the users. And to make the change management for the users work, that's a difficult task. And the AI is not going to change that. Your deliverables will be more reliable, maybe, but for projects to become successful, in the chaos report and the reports of PMI, you see other factors that are the success factors of projects being done well. There's more to it. But in general, I think if we do this well and we roll out our AI PMO, the control is there. And if the mandate and the governance is being set right, I think for sure that the results of projects executed will be better.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that, but you hear my prerequisites in order to make this work. It's not only the technology, it's definitely also the governance.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll get to a moment where projects are stopped a little bit faster as well. So by default, I'm thinking if you're stopping the bad running projects, maybe earlier in the life cycle, that will lead to an improvement of those left. Now
Well,
I
that's a
can't
different
believe, yeah.
that's a different point, Lloyd, because what you're talking about now is a process again, one of these processes that we as a PMO company set up in organizations, because the bad projects, as you call them, or at least not the highest priority projects that are being executed nevertheless because somebody thinks they are important, which is project portfolio management by being the loudest voice in the room. That's a process thing. So from my point of view, setting priorities of projects, but project portfolio management is a process, and it has nothing to do with AI. It has to do with gathering the right data that you need to make comparison between projects and prioritize business case, business benefits, costs, capacity that you have in the organization. If you got all of those right and you understand that and you can compare to others, then and this is one of the things that we are focusing on as well. This is, you could call it new because it's all technology. Maybe I'm sure you heard about critical chain project management, Goldrad's technology, or at least methodology or ideas. What we are focusing now, and I even made a movie of this. If you want, I can probably show you that. Where we show the impact of doing projects faster from a benefits point of view is huge. Yeah. If you deliver 25% faster your project, you have also less project cost and the benefits start 2 months earlier. And that means that by the time that normally your project will be finished, you already start to make money. I mean, it's logical, but we created a little video out of that just to help our customers understand the concept of speed in projects is probably one of the biggest differentiators to being successful in project management as well.
Yeah, I agree with you about process, and I almost see it as a closed loop from the strategy phase, which project should I undertake, to the execution phase, to the outcome phase, and hopefully AI can start linking all of that together. And when it gets to that piece, I think that's where we've really got high maturity going on, as opposed to where most companies are today, which is focusing on the automation of the execution phase. So I think more and more to come on that as well from my perspective. Now, Henk, I can't believe we've been talking for well over 30 minutes now. So we're going to have to draw things to a close. Now, I did say before we started recording, if there was one thing that you'd like to sort of leave with people, what would it be, Henk? What's your thoughts?
Ooh, that is a difficult question because so many things are happening. I think, I mean, if you look at what I told what I told the audience is that things are indeed becoming more interesting for project managers. That people skills are going to be the differentiator for the project manager of the future, and that the more tedious planning and analysis work is going to be done by AI. So if you're ready for that, then project management is still the profession of a dream.
Absolutely. And there's plenty of projects going round. We're talking about the future, people. We're not going anywhere in the short term. Hanks, thank you so much for sparing your time this evening. And I hope to keep in touch and certainly talk about coming back in a year's time to see how Vera's getting on.
Let's do that. That will be
Excellent.
interesting.
Thank you, Hank.